Yeah, this is. I'm assuming you're talking about this, the guy that just talked about the lawyer. The Parkland school shooter is on trial now. I'm sure most of you know that. But it doesn't seem like many people realize just how absolutely insane his defense team is. So, for pretty much this whole trial, well, I actually can't say the whole trial because I've only seen the clips. For a while now, they've been making absolute fools of themselves, but it boiled over yesterday with a public display of one of the lawyers giving the finger to the entire court and laughing with the school shooter. And then one of the, you know what, actually, I'll just play it. I don't even know why I'm giving the full context. I'll just show you.
Judge, I'm standing here and I see that Jeff Marcus jumped up really quickly. But no one jumped up when people were referring to karma acting in the universe. No one was jumping up when they were referring to the defense children. No one jumped up to try to tap down that rhetoric. That is the rhetoric that I'm talking about. That is what I'm trying to be very clear on. Jeff Marcus, the state, they can hide behind their arguments, but we all are witnessing what is occurring in this courtroom.
Which is myself. I'm a judge,
And
I understand that I'm in
Thank you,
charge
Judge.
of the decorum, and I feel that 99% or a great percentage of what has been said has been appropriate. Everybody has maintained decorum, but
So, what they're referring to, since I don't know if this clip is going to include it, apparently at some point, one of the defense lawyers, the family was brought up. I don't really know the context of it, but apparently there was an offhand mention of one of the lawyer's kids or something, and now they've completely steered away from like the actual core discussion in order to address that. Like, this is so disrespectful. I'm a fucking lawyer. How dare you bring up my kids? This is outrageous. And now they're making like this public complaint to the judge, and the judge is like, I don't know what you're talking about. From everything I've seen here, it's maintained a very professional decorum, nothing, fishy or weird or low blows or anything. And then it starts to go off the rails.
for a few comments, it's best to just move on as opposed to highlight them.
This is true, Judge, but I am witnessing a building of momentum, and I'm encouraging the court to direct the state to tap down on that momentum so it does not reoccur and it does not become a theme. Thank you, Judge.
They're becoming too powerful, insulting the
The only
kids.
thing the state has said to any of these witnesses when they get up is, would they like to say something on behalf of the victim they're representing? There's been no encouraging or inciting, as Mr. Weeks has put on this record. That is a blatant falsehood and a recreation of the record. As far as no objections being made, it's the defense that could have objected. It's not the state's duty to object to their own witnesses when they're testifying.
These are the bits,
Okay.
Jimmy and the prime shorty.
Listen, I've already heard. If you have anything else to say, you can put it in writing at a later time. I've heard from both sides more than once. That's gonna be it. I've made my decision. Like
Also,
I
this
said,
judge is
I think
fucking
what
awesome, by the way.
was testified to has been appropriate. I do not want to highlight the few things that were said that were perhaps not appropriate, and let's move on.
Judge, I'm asking for 20 seconds next.
You can have as many seconds as you want in writing, and you can put all of your objections in writing. They've been made multiple times.
She
from
speaks
the
to them
chief
like
assistant,
children, like actual
from Ms.
kids.
McNeil, and I don't want to hear anything else. I've already heard it. Is there something that has not already been argued?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, exactly what is it?
Judge, before Mr. Shacker took the podium to testify before this court, I wanted to, the record should reflect that both Mr. Marcus and Mr. Satz looked at the statement prior to the reading. And so their implicit adoption of what he was saying was improper arguments. And the court should chastise.
Okay, but what you are doing right
So, this guy is a giant big baby man. So, I think the strategy was to get on a tangent to buy time or something. So he starts whining like, "Oh, wah, 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 they were being mean, wah, 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 wah." And the judge has already heard it like 1,000 times by now, so that's why she's like very, like, shutting it down. Yeah, I guess kind of filibustering, I suppose, but like really pathetically. So he just keeps bringing up the way they spoke about this was very inappropriate. It was ill-mannered. They were not brought up properly, very inhospitable. And then eventually one of them, they reflect, and one of the lawyers from this team defending the Parkland school shooter just gave the whole court the finger. I think it's in this clip. I haven't actually watched this clip, but it's from this segment that I was watching.
Right now, it's
so I imagine it's here.
highlighting something and making more of a spectacle. So if your office in general does not want to facilitate and or incite violence, then we need to just sit down and move on. That's it. There were 18 witnesses, 16 or 18 witnesses.
Like, it feels like a teacher calling out the class clown in front of everyone.
Ms. McNeil made her point made, and, you know, we're moving on.
But is the court going to do anything about maybe stopping it from happening again?
When these people are upset about specific things that have gone on from that table, like shooting the middle finger up at this court and laughing and joking, Ms. McNeil, be quiet.
Isn't that fucking wild? This is a school shooter, and this is part of his legal team, and they're just giggling with him, giving everyone the finger. Isn't that wild? I couldn't believe that shit. And I was reading, apparently, like, this judge showed tremendous restraint not holding this team in contempt because they made a mockery out of the court. And I think the reason, at least based on what I read, I'm no expert, but the reason for her not holding them in contempt is because that prolongs this trial even longer. So she wanted to, like, make sure the sentencing gets passed smoothly, I believe. Because that is crazy, actually.
Be quiet. When these people have sat in this courtroom and watched this behavior from that table, and they want to say that they're not happy about it, what is the problem?
Judge, I have no problem because I have thick skin. But once you bring in my children, I think that's highly improper. And it's
I didn't even know you have children. I don't know what you're talking about. Your children? What about your children?
But that's a comment.
I also don't even think he has children, for what it's worth.
To allow that kind of testimony
Okay.
is also
So I got real parasocial with this. I don't know this guy. I didn't really, like, look into him too much, but he doesn't have a wedding ring on, and I feel like he's just making shit up. Because he just keeps finding new things to whine about and, like, pulling things out of thin air to whine about. And then he eventually just gets disciplined like a misbehaving youth.
allow that kind of testimony
Okay.
is also
There was, I don't remember any comments about any children. And if there was, it obviously didn't, it came and went without me noticing it.
Judge, I can assure you that if they were talking about your children, you would definitely notice it.
You need to sit down right now. You're out of line. In fact, you're excused. You need to go sit in the back with your
And put on the dunce cap.
chief public defender.
Put on the stupid hat.
Mr. Weeks, please ask the lawyer from your office to go sit down and not say anything else. To try to threaten my children and bring up my children is inappropriate. Go to the back of the room now. That just violated about every rule of professional responsibility that I have never. If you're going to get up here and you're going to...
Judge, I asked you to go sidebar on this matter.
You, sidebar or not, you don't have one of your assistant public defenders say something about my children?
Judge, that same
It's an absolute
venom
clown
that the
show.
court is expressing is the same venom that defense counsel had to sit through this entire morning when their
What do you mean? Like, so the venom he's talking about is in reference to when the lawyer for the school shooter gave the finger and started laughing. I believe they got reprimanded for that behavior. So that's I think, I could be wrong, I believe that's the venom he's referring to. It's not like they were just like innocently defending someone, doing their due diligence in court. They were actively making a joke out of it. I am so glad a lot of these court cases are being, like, publicized now. Because a lot of this is absolute lunacy that I had no idea actually went on in these high-profile cases. It's crazy. I had no clue. Did this all happen today? No, it was yesterday. Thanks to Prime. Felix Fletch and the resub Rico, Reaper, Doinks, Monk, Pancake, and the tier 1 Old Greet.
Brought up her children
ordained
multiple
reference.
times during the trial. Nobody knows if I'm barren or not. They don't know
Judge,
about my children.
Judge.
Sit down. Sit down.
Judge,
Sit down, Mr. Weeks.
Please do not summarily dismiss me.
I'm summarily
I'm
dismissing
asking
you.
the
Go
court.
sit down.
I'm asking the court. I asked the court to go sidebar.
Go sit down. You don't threaten the
Judge,
court's children.
everyone
Your
in this
assistant just
courtroom-
did that. Go sit down.
No one in this courtroom had to endure what we had to
Go
endure.
sit down. Miss McNeil has made her children a spectacle more than once during this trial. That was her choice. You have absolutely no right to have one of your assistants come up here and suggest something about my children. Now, please go sit down.
Judge.
You're
Judge,
inappropriate and out of line. Go sit down.
Judge, may I have a brief recess?
No. Go sit down.
May I have a brief recess?
Can I have some ice cream?
My attorneys.
We're moving on with the sentencing, Mr. Weeks.
So can I have a brief recess?
No.
Thank you.
It's 1:36. Thank you.
Hey, great work out there. You got her, champ. Nice work. Yeah, it is a wild trial, which is so crazy because how can you even like act this way when you're defending someone who is like there's no room for argument. This is the school shooter. Like they are defending the school shooter and somehow laughing about it, joking with him, and making a complete fool out of themselves. Like, I don't get how this even happens. That's the job, though. The job is, like, they have a due diligence that they have to perform where they defend the defenseless, right? I get that. But why are they all laughing with them and flipping off the court? And then, like, talking about the judge's kids and like, oh, why are you guys being mean to us? We just gave you the finger. Why do we have to endure such venom? They probably don't want to be there because they have no chance of winning. Yeah, I mean, I get that, but it still doesn't really excuse the actions. Like, you go there, go through the motions, do the bare minimum, and leave. Like, no one expects them to somehow get this kid out of jail or something. Yet they're in there, like, absolutely ruining their reputation. Like, shit, this guy, from what I've read, he could, like, legitimately be disbarred. This guy, big baby man. Isn't this Florida? Yeah, it's in Florida. Thanks to the Prime Chief and the Resub Gooble Gobble and Dylan and the Prime Sanctum. If they don't disbar her for flipping the bird, I'll shit. Oh yeah, that was another thing. I mean, like, you can't really do that. Like, you can't just go into court as the goddamn lawyer and just give them all the finger. Like, not even Saul Goodman did that. And he was like the bad boy lawyer. It really isn't even subtle. Well, no, it's not subtle. They even start laughing about it, man.
And laughing and joking. Miss McNeil, be quiet.
It's just so weird. You would think that this is his mom. By the way, this is the piece of shit that pretended to be crazy in the interrogations. Yep. I know. I'm well aware. I may not have really kept up with the trial apart from these wacky clips, but I do know about the kid. What did he do? This is the school shooter, the Parkland school shooter. Thanks to Resub Lettuce and Rebel and Jack. He's not a kid, he's an adult. Well, yeah, no, I say kid just because he's young. Like, he's obviously an absolute monster. I'm not, like, excusing anything he did by calling him a kid. I think he's, like, 19. There's resub Style and Custer. And the resub Luda. Didn't he plead guilty too? I don't remember actually. He may have. I'm not positive. He did? Mm. Thanks to the resub. Berm T and the bits silver. He was sentenced to life in prison today. Oh, they gave him life instead of the death penalty. These are Prime has been. "34 consecutive life sentences. They give people death penalty still. Depends on the state. But yeah, I think they were pushing for death penalty, if I remember correctly. I didn't know the sentencing was complete, so apparently today sentenced to 34 consecutive life sentences with no parole.